more
more
informed
informed.
citizenry.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of leadership and neocolonial pushes, the foreign minister for Benin Republic has recently come out to say the charter creating the Ecowas should be looked at in order to avoid interference in internal politics, following on from what transpired late last year with Niger Republic. And so I would go to his take. Yes, again, it comes from the Money paper. And there's a reason why I actually pick it, but I'll allow you state your point first, then I'll tell you why I actually picked this story from the Financial Times. It says, keep ECOWAS out of internal regional politics. Beninois minister says, West African bloc urged to focus on economy and avoid meddling in Western states' domestic affairs. The lead says, West Africa's main economic club should focus on economic integration and the fight against poverty and terrorism and steer clear of interfering in internal politics of member states. Benin's foreign minister has said. Segun Ajadi Bakare told the Financial Times that the economic community of West African states should be reformed, that reaching agreement on how to respond to political crisis was paramount. Nobody can say we can keep ECOWAS as it is, said Bakare, a former Societe Generale executive who was appointed foreign minister last year. The bloc's members should sit down together to find a new consensus when it comes to internal politics, although Benin believes it should not interfere. ECOWAS has responded haphazardly to the takeovers which began when soldiers ousted elected Malian leader Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in August 2020. The country experienced a second coup 9 months later. Guinea's push came in September 21, while Burkina Faso experienced 2 coups in 2022. But following international criticism that it's been too lenient, the bloc imposed sweeping sanctions on Niger after the head of the country's presidential guard deposed and detained President Mohamed Bazoum last July, threatening to invade if he was not released. The threat was not realized and the ruling junta remains in power while Bazoum remains in detention, although Bakary said work was ongoing to secure his freedom. The minister urged ECOWAS needed to change its approach given its lack of success in restoring democracy in the coup-hit country. The junta in Burkina Faso recently extended its term by another 5 years. But there is a part here. Yes. Okay. In Mali, we set a transitional table. 4 years later, is there a solution? No. In Guinea and Burkina Faso, we did the same thing and no solution. Bakary said, with Niger, we decided to put sanctions in place. We received a very big backlash and there was no result. We've had to ask ourselves at some point if our methodology is the right one. Where is it? So there's something here with regards to money. Yes. Yeah, this is it. Benin and Niger are now embroiled in a spat over the latter's refusal to open its side of the shared border despite the end of the sanctions, with Niamey citing security concerns. The impasse is hampering Niger's own exports of its oil through a new 2,000-kilometer pipeline from the landlocked countries to the port of Seme in Benin Republic. Yes, what's your assessment? Before I say why I picked the story.
Okay, so, there are many elements in this article. And of course, as a Pan-African, I disagree with the foreign minister in the sense that I actually support interference because we're celebrating artificial sovereignties that were created as a result of European imperialism and colonialism. They drew these artificial boundaries that have separated us and held back our vitality and our ability to actually grow politically and economically. And I think, as I said in our previous discussion, we are in a position that China was in the earlier parts of the 20th century, right? When China was still basically a collection of warlords in different parts of the country. Even after Chiang Kai-shek came into power, China was still beholden to the West. It was only after the Chinese Revolution. So we need to have a United States of Africa. Really, that's the only way we can survive. And if it involves interference in the so-called internal affairs of these artificial countries, so be it. I like what is going on in the sense that Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger in the last several months have made many joint declarations and taken many joint positions. And that is the reason why Ecowas was not able to invade Niger to reverse the coup, because whether it was realistic or not, Burkina Faso, together with Mali, declared that they had a joint pact, and any invasion of any one of those countries would be seen as an invasion of all those three countries. And of course, that made a difference. And that was the reason why they did not invade. And then, of course, they saw the level of popular support from the ground. The Ecowas, other member country leaders, including that of Nigeria, saw the popular support that the regime, the military regime, had on the ground, mass support. And that also deterred them. Of course, they failed to reverse the coup, and they don't want Mali, Burkina, and Niger to leave ECOWAS, as it is a process. They've declared that they want to leave. I think once you make the declaration, it goes through a 12-month period. So the rest of ECOWAS is determined that in the next, before the expiration of that 12-month period, they will convince these three countries not to leave. And then, of course, he has a very self-centered interest for his own country. And when you mentioned that part about the oil pipeline, because if Niger is not exporting its oil, it means that Benin will not be making the revenues as well. So those are the interesting parts of this element. But then, of course, there's also a very glaring omission, and I hope that viewers and listeners caught that. The article talked about a series of coups, and the coups are projected in a negative way, right? They're bad things, these coups. Mali, and then Burkina, and then you have Niger. I hope that the perceptive listeners were able to see that two coups were not mentioned. And that was the one in Chad, which of course was supported, endorsed, and engineered by France, and the one in Gabon as well. See, our people, please don't be deceived. You know, everything they said was truthful. Yes, it's a fact. There was a coup in Mali. There was a coup in Burkina. There was a coup in Niger. So if you're just too relaxed and you're not listening carefully, you would forget that they did not mention Chad and Gabon. Because those are the coups that they help engineer and they support, because it maintain essentially rulership from the same family that they want to continue to maintain in power. Do not be deceived. Please read carefully.
Okay, so you caught one. The other one was the fact that here was a guy who was previously a chief executive.
Yes, of course.
Talking to the Financial Times.
Yes.
About money opportunities.
He's one of them.
Exactly. About money opportunities that he's been taken off the table. I was like, talk about having a conversation in public. He was.
He's their man.
What's he do? Yeah.
You know, as the Financial Times would say, investors would be happy.
We'll be happy. So when he said, when I was reading, I was like, okay.
You read the guy's resume. You said, oh.
Yeah, listen, I was okay. Why are you talking to the Financial Times though? You're the foreign minister. Why are you talking to the Financial Times?
Oh no, that's exactly how they love it. They want the person who, like in Cote d'Ivoire, right? They have in Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
They said Gbagbo was a dictator who tried to extend his term illegally and did not even win the election, right?